Let's begin with a question. How many of us have ever participated in a scavenger hunt? Show of hands? Okay. So we can appreciate the importance of curiosity and a sense of adventure to searching for and finding the treasure. In this morning's gospel story, I believe Jesus's words, "Come and see," are an invitation for each of us to participate in an adventure. This adventure beckons us to listen and search for the call of our heart, to see the divine in life's ordinary moments, and then to act upon what we find. For the next few minutes, we'll talk about what this adventure means and what we need to bring to it. There are two components that I believe are essential to a meaningful spiritual adventure. The first is an open heart, one that is open to seeing deeply and listening attentively, as Samuel did in the first reading. It is a heart open to gazing upon another and allowing the other to gaze upon us, just as Jesus did with Peter. An open heart requires vulnerability. The second, to borrow words from spiritual author Macrina Whitaker, is learning to live awake. A contemplative stance, that is, being still, getting in touch with our deepest self, and contemplating the moment, teaches us to live awake. With an open heart and an awakened spirit, let's now adventure into a couple of examples. The first is a simple experience that occurred last weekend. It was a beautiful winter day, so Stan and I took a car ride through a more rural part of Rose Tree Media area. The gorgeous countryside drew me in and invited me to listen to its beauty and openness. Along the way, we stopped at Cumberland Cemetery on Route 352, where many of Stan's ancestors are buried, dating back to the early 1800s. We adventured among the headstones, pondering the many family members on whose shoulders we stand, how connected we are both in DNA and in spirit, and how their lives affected ours in some way. This contemplative walk invited me to see and experience our spiritual connection through the centuries. Perhaps, though, the best part of our cemetery visit was an unexpected encounter with a horse. A beautiful stone wall separates the cemetery from the adjacent Quaker meeting house and barn. As we looked at family graves about 30 feet from the wall, a tall, handsome chestnut stallion began purposefully walking toward us. I said, "Stan, I think this horse is coming over to see us." So we began walking toward him and met our handsome horse friend as he placed his nose just over the wall. Petting his head and talking to him were the highlight of our ancestral cemetery adventure. It was an awakening experience to look into his eyes and feel his welcoming demeanor, and to connect with this beautiful creature at a deep level. As I reflect on this experience in the light of today's gospel, I can't help but hear Jesus's words, "Come and see," embodied in this horse's hospitality and trust. The next illustration is about someone I greatly admire. She is not only a gifted basketball coach and former player, but is one who has journeyed through poverty into great success with humility and has been an extraordinary role model for athletes and students. In the fall of 2020, Dawn Staley was the subject of an article in the Philadelphia Inquirer, highlighting her amazing life journey, an adventure that often took her outside her comfort zone. Dawn grew up in the projects of North Philly, where her parents could only afford puzzles for her Christmas gifts. It was here on the neighborhood basketball courts that she learned what she calls her 5 rules for success in life, 2 of which are growth takes place outside your comfort zone, and what is delayed is not denied. She said that growing up, she was the only girl playing basketball in her neighborhood and had to find ways to stay on the court. In her words, sometimes you're not welcomed. You have to endure so much. But Staley was not to be denied. She listened closely to her heart, stayed in school, and strove for excellence on the basketball court, demonstrating the attributes of a role model. Over the last 30 years, Dawn became a star player at the university, Olympic, and professional levels, and in 2013 was inducted into the Naismith Memorial Basketball Hall of Fame. For much of her basketball career, Staley, as a Black person, was outside her comfort zone in white environments. In her words, I wasn't necessarily comfortable outside of the projects I grew up in. I look at these uncomfortable experiences, and I'm okay now. Dawn Staley adventured into growth through her discomfort. As she continued to listen to the call of her heart, she moved into coaching, first at Temple and then at South Carolina. In 2017, she led the University of South Carolina women's basketball team to a national title. After the win, Dawn said she wanted every college player she coached to feel like they played a role in that title. So she had miniature national championship trophies made for every one of her former players at Temple University and South Carolina, as well as their coaching staffs. Dawn Staley accepted the gospel invitation to come and see from an early age. She opened her heart, even when it was uncomfortable to do so, and grew into a beacon of hope for so many. She listened to the call of her heart, acting on what she found inside herself, and soared to the heights of success, always remembering those who helped her along the way. Dawn Staley's spiritual gifts of humility, appreciation, perseverance, and hope have been foundational to her living an awakened, adventurous life. No matter where we are in life, God continues to invite each of us to come and see, to search for the call of our heart in a particular life moment, and to act on what we find there. As we adventure through the coming weeks, let us ponder what our heart is yearning to give and receive. Could it be healing, justice, oneness, acceptance, guidance, creativity, service? Contemplate your desires with the Holy One. So keep your heart open and enjoy the adventure that awaits.